I'm Dan.
And I'm Patience Hogue.
And we started the railroad in '97. It is the Wild Eagle Railroad. And we started this open house. Well, this is our 7th year. And we started it mainly to promote garden railroading and hopefully get clubs in the valley working together. So this year we have probably about, I think, 4 or 5 clubs working, from Sun City Grand to Sun City West to ABTO to the Adobe Mountain Railroad, which has a very big railroad at the park. And they got HO, N scale, and a big G scale layout going on. The railroad here, we keep growing it every year. And we have, of course, overhead train systems outside. And we just started a new diorama with a couple reversing units with a rack train and a trolley that we're going to keep switching out the dioramas. We do this open house here, and we also do one at Christmas time, so we try to switch out different scenes and stuff. On the layout, we have 3 main lines. I get a group of guys together now that come over and help me out and just
some girls.
Yeah, some girls, which
saying.
Is great, and also some younger people also, which is a lot of fun. To me, that's part of the garden railroading, is enjoying it with friends and just having fun with it. And they come over, they change scenes around and whatever. It's great because they're having a great time and they smile and laugh and we make fun of each other and have a good time. And the neat thing about the open houses is, I think anyways, I know it's sort of stressful for you sometimes because you're trying to get food ready for some people that are helping and stuff like that and everything go on, but we also have a couple overheads inside the house, and Patience gives tours through the house and everything, which is really a lot of fun. And
it is fun.
And then of course she makes fun of me and everything too.
It's
so
great.
You know, so
behind his back, say anything I want.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So that's a neat part of it because we take them to the house. And the fun part about, we keep growing this open house. Now I think this year we have about 9 vendors. We have a big layout set up by ABTO out front, and we're trying to get more demonstrations and more things like that happening. This year we actually have the master gardeners with us. So we're trying to bring in a whole new group of people and get them involved in trains also, so we can get the gardeners and put trains in their gardens and stuff, and just try to grow the hobby in any way we can.
And on that gardening theme, speaking from a different perspective from someone that doesn't particularly like trains as a hobby, like myself, I pretty much tolerate them and they're fun, but it's not really my hobby. The way that I can, kind of dovetail my interests onto this is the gardening aspect of it, and trying to come up with ideas for plants and colors and textures to kind of add, I don't know, more interest to the layout, give people additional things to look at, and it gives me something to do outside that helps him, and it's fun for me too. So I always liked gardening. I always liked working outdoors and stuff. I can't say that I enjoy working outdoors in the summer here. So fortunately we have a drip system, and so a lot of the plant life that you see here is on the drip, and so it does pretty well, and the shade cloth really helps too. So,
well, the fun part about that is we go to the Lowe's or Home Depot or some nursery or whatever, and we have fun picking out plants and seeing which one we're going to get to grow next. And,
yeah, and
makes a lot of fun.
Yeah, if they live, they live, and if they don't make it, it's okay. We'll start all over again.
We'll try something new.
It's not like we failed. There's just some things that we're finding out through trial and error do very well, and other things that will not make it. So no matter how much care and attention. So anyway, it looks really good this year. There's a lot of color this year. So.
And that's what we're trying to get across to people. That's why we actually have a couple women helping us run trains this year, and a couple young boys. And we're trying to get people, as they come to the open house, hey, I could do garden railroading. I could have fun with my family. We try to promote it as a family hobby so that parents can help their kids learn how to build things, learn about plants. I mean, there's so many different aspects. Use your imagination instead of sitting in front of a video game. Get out there and do something with your family. We have a great time, and my kids don't necessarily like trains, but they like to come out and they like to show their friends what's going on. They love tell people about everything that's going out here, even though they'd never come out here and might do anything, but you know what I mean? But their friends like it.
We abused them when they were younger and made them come out here and help us with weeding and picking up leaves and things like that. Talk about slave labor. But that may have fried them a little bit, but they are, I think, pretty proud of what we've done back here, and it is pretty spectacular. So.
And it's a lot of fun.
It is fun.
And the neat thing about it is you come out here and just get away from reality. And
the great part about this hobby is that you come home to do it. You don't have to go to the bowling alley, and you don't have to go off somewhere else.
Right.
You know, if Dan's going to be relaxing and having fun, he'll probably be outside back here messing around with the trains and getting stuff working right and rearranging. And one thing about Dan too is that it can never be boring. It has to be, it can't just be a loop of track that goes around in a circle. It has to go around and over and through, and you know, he wants it to be very realistic, and so it looks good. You did a great job, Dan.
Aw.
Oh.
Well, we want people to come back each open house and always look for what we do different. Did we change things around? Did we have a new scene? What did we add?
Things will never be static around here. They're always going to be changing, that's for sure.
So we want to make, and that's what we want to get across to other people is, hey, you can do that. We have other people come in and help us do scenes only because they got all sorts of great ideas and changed everything around. I might not always like it, but usually I do, and I go, wow, I wish I would have thought of that. You know, but you're interacting with people and you're having a good time and you're letting other people enjoy the hobby with you. And I think a lot of people miss out on that because they don't have other people come over and just not just run trains, but build things and just enjoy the camaraderie with other people and just have a great time with it.
Some fun people.
Yeah.
When we got married, I didn't know that he had a train issue, but after we had our first child, he contacted his brother to get a hold of his old HO set because they had one when they were kids, and so he sent out half, and then he started building stuff in the garage on a big plywood board, and he'd make mountains and then tear it down. It made a horrible mess in the house, and it took up a whole room, and you know, it wasn't much to participate in from a family perspective, and it certainly didn't do anything for the look of the house. Well, then one year we got a bigger train, a G-scale train, to go around our Christmas tree, and that was pretty much it. After we got that train, then all hope was lost, and he got several more, and I mean, he had track going all over the bottom of the house and driving the cats crazy, and it grew from there, and he joined a train club and built steel bridges for them, for club members, and then his hobby just went from there. So the great part about this hobby to me is that it makes our backyard look so great. I mean, it really looks nice back here, and it's a lot of fun. And it's a little more practical to justify a hobby that occupies your backyard as opposed to one that, you know, occupies a whole room of your house. And with the overhead train systems, many people don't utilize their ceiling for anything anyway. So it's kind of a nice conversation piece, and that also adds a lot of interest to the house. So.
Well, I started my business, my welding business, in 1983, and in probably about 95 or 96 is when I sort of found out about the train, and then I started looking around, and I thought, well, nobody really does any steel bridges, and I hadn't really started my layout. I was just working at it, you know, getting going, and so I started doing a few bridges, and met a guy named Barry from Las Vegas who lives in town here now, and he directed me to Lone Star Bridge and abutments. And we started talking back and forth, and I put a little preview or whatever, or new product review in the Garden Railroad magazine. And I got a few calls and sold a few bridges, and I didn't really know what I was doing, but it was fun, and I thought, well, I better do a brochure. So I did a brochure, a small brochure, and created a few more bridges, and then it sort of grew from there. And then later down the line, a few years later, I started doing overheads, and now I do portables, and now I do a turntable and double track signal bridges and water towers and really steel structures, or really whatever you want. People send me pictures and bridges or other items, and we just really create whatever you want to create.
name's Gary Alberti, and the layout is Red Brick Railroad. That was what my wife decided to name it, and so I included her in that part. Basically, I started about October of last year. I designed it and then brought in 25 ton of granite to fill in all the grass after I had pretty much killed the grass to give me my two different heights of the layout. Right now it's just a basic system that's run on electric power, although I am going to go into battery operated shortly, so I'll have both running at the same time. Basically, the intent was to have it run loop to loop, and eventually I want to add mountains in the corners. We're going to have another waterfall going into the pond that I had built. The pond, when I built the pond, I had intentions of having my little frog and my turtle shooting water over it, but I do have the frog right now that shoots water over the train and into the pond, and that was something that I thought was kind of interesting. I do have another waterfall system that I have running from a height of about 2.5 feet that runs into another pond, and it gives us the sound of running water all the time over the rocks that are in the pond, so that sometimes when we have dinner and stuff, we're running trains, we hear running water, we hear trains, I blow the whistles. When the kids come over, grandkids come over, I got 13 of them, so when they come over, they like to push all these buttons on these trains. Basically, this is pretty much the yard. It's got about 500 feet of track, including what goes into the storage shed. I call it the little shed that could, because it does hold my engines. I got 3 tracks in there that'll eventually. So I hope to have this in another year with more of the waterfalls that I'm going to plan on building in the corner. That'll run into the pond. That'll probably be mountains that'll go as high as the block wall. And then I'm going to have a tunnel, and then the waterfall will be over the tunnel where you can see the water falling, but you still see the train going through. So that's next year's project. At night it's interesting because I've got these little lanterns that I have around that I made. Basically, I went to Walmart, bought these $4 lanterns, and I put car tail light sockets in the top of it with their light bulb, and I run it off a 12-volt system. So all the lanterns are just like Malibu lights, but they're my own. It looks nice, so it is illuminated at night. I built the wishing well for my wife, and then I put a lantern in it, so at night it's lit up. But basically, I think that's it. I'm working on my tunnel that I'll have hopefully done and landscaped. And so I run this basically most of the year, except for in the summertime when it gets June, July, and August. That's when it's hot, and then I go back to my N scale inside.
I'm John Myers, my wife Pat. We started this railroad about 3 years ago. 2 years ago I built the train station, the Victorian train station behind us. I wanted a shop for my trains to store them and to work on them, but I decided then if I were to do this, I might as well make it look like a train shop. We decided on a name of this, and
Shady Glen Railroad.
And how did we get that?
We got that because we have shade trees, and we live near Glendale Avenue. We thought we'd put the two together, and Glen means valley. We learned that when we traveled to Scotland last year, so it's Shady Glen Railroad.
And that's one of the features about this. Since our lawn here and everything is irrigated, I decided to put the train track around the periphery of my lawn instead of designated a part of the lawn to let it go back and forth. And I decided to make a double track. Each main line is over 300 feet, so it's about 700 feet. And the double line is actually connected as one total loop. And if you start on the outside track, you have to go around twice in order to come back to that same point. Over here to my left, there is 4 switches in which I can switch and designate each line separately. So that's the main line, and then there's some sidings, and I decided I wanted a water feature, so I worked at getting a pond in, and several waterfalls, and over there by the pond will be a grist mill I'm working on now, and I built a 1890 sawmill, and it'll go over there too. But then I have 2 tunnels, one 6-foot and one 12-foot long. Then we hope to, I have drip irrigation in, and I hope to get some plants going, and my wife is interested in the plants. What do you think we might plant here?
Well, figuring out what to plant will be part of the challenge, but I'm looking forward to that, finding out what will grow well for ground cover, what kinds of small trees we can buy that will actually stay small, that sort of thing. And then we do have plans for lots of different buildings, a farm scene, other than the ones that John mentioned already, and that'll all be in the future. So there's a lot left to do, but we're looking forward to it, and we can enjoy it together as a hobby in John's retirement.
Another unique feature, I think, that the train can be parked indoors. I don't have to take it off the track, and one of them is the train station behind me. And the other is that the feature of the train can go, in one line goes outside of our sunroom, and the other line, as it goes around, goes through the sunroom into one side and parks inside along the south wall of the sunroom, and then through the other portal on the outside it comes. Well, it passes through, but I can park it and then close the doors on both ends and secure it from the outside world. So this has been a fun project, an ongoing project, and I anticipate it to be ongoing, and I've already made changes in the track as I put it down. Just like any building project goes, you always look back and you see, well, this doesn't work, and I'm going to make a change. So I hope that it'll be well on its way by the time our convention in 2008 here